All right. Well, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Jeff Diltzler. I'm the president of Levity. Happy to be joined by Paul Hager, the director of solutions. And we are excited to talk about some new developments within our product suite, within our solution set that I think are important for everyone to be aware of and for all to consider as part of the evolution of security, the evolution of risk mitigation in today's world, which continues to change and become even more prevalent on an increasing basis. So we'll talk about several different things today, but really at the core of what Elevity wants to provide our customers and how we're developing our solution go-to-market strategy is really around the concept of technology management, not necessarily IT products and pieces that fit to solve a specific problem, but around putting the pieces and parts in place to manage technology before it manages us. And we think that starts with the four S's that we call it. The first being strategy, having a good plan in place, a good methodology to be planning around technology and the long-term plans, how that aligns with the organization's business goals, and ensuring that technology becomes a critical lever that helps propel the organization forward as you go to achieve your goals. Rooted in that strategy has to be a very strong approach to security. As I just mentioned, it's becoming increasingly more challenging to stay in front of the bad guys. I heard recently that the bad guys only need to win once. We need to win all the time. So it's important that we're continuing to stay in front of the current challenges. And this is an evolving thing. What we thought was good 3 years ago is no longer quite good enough, and part of really the core of what we want to talk to you about today. In order to have good strategy and good security, to have a good technology management program in place, you've got to have good solutions. Part of what we're talking to you today about and announcing are some new solutions that fit, to solve new problems that we're all dealing with and we think you're faced with. And in order to have good solutions in place, you got to have good support to help with implementation and onboarding. And those days when things don't go quite right, we need to have the smart people available to come fix those issues, update things, and make sure that everything is working efficiently. So we're rooting a lot of our decisions around these four S's and ensuring that we're delivering the right solutions and components to you. A lot of that comes from a bunch of smart people to get together to talk about those current problems that our customers are dealing with and identifying the right solutions to help solve those. Paul leads a team of folks that work through those challenges, and he's here to tell you a little bit more about that.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, so our Emerging Solutions Evaluation Committee, or ESE, is a group of folks that I lead that we meet regularly and discuss what the future of technology needs are for small and mid-sized businesses up to enterprises that Levity meets, interacts with, and supports on a daily basis. The ESC committee is a group of people that includes virtual CIOs within the Levity team, solution architects, leaders over our engineering group, and engineers, technical folks, service desk members that are on the front lines of managing technology and challenges that they see our clients facing into the future. So this isn't a group of salespeople getting together to talk about who has the latest and greatest solution or who is offering the greatest financial incentives to sell their solutions. This is derived directly from the feedback from the team that we have spread around the entire Midwest, out of Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, that see day to day the challenges that our mid-market customers are facing. And how do we make sure that Levity has a response to that? But not just a response like, oh, we see a problem, and so we'll just pick the first vendor that we see. We act as an extension of your team by going through the process of using key insights from Forrester, IDC, Gartner, our own research and experience, gathering lists of the top players in that space and up-and-coming players in the space, and then running through an evaluation process, putting them through a scorecard, and then ultimately doing demos of their solutions, hearing what their value proposition is, and then if they make the next round or the next cut, getting down to 2 or 3 vendors and going through kind of a mini due diligence process, even sometimes doing site visits to those organizations to validate that they are as real as they say that they are. Technology companies that are called these unicorn companies that are growing exponentially but burning cash from PE firms to do it are great, and that's a way to build a business here in 2021. But we want to make sure that any organization that we partner with and bring to you is an organization that is solid from a security standpoint, a go-to-market strategy standpoint, and that they have really good technology. And I think this is where we provide strategy, right? We don't sell everything because of that other famous phrase, kind of jack of all trades, master of none. What you'll get from Levity in our mid-market group is that we're going to have vetted and represent solutions that we are very confident that will not only work well for your organization, but that we have deployed multiple times and have helped solve real business problems for individuals. So again, our team acts as this extension to keep you ahead of the curve. You, I'm sure, are all getting hit every day from sales folks that have the next best thing. And sometimes it's hard then to kind of see the forest through the trees of whether they just have a really good outbound sales program or have a great investment in ZoomInfo and HubSpot, or whether their technology truly solves a challenge. And has it worked? And have we seen it work right here in the Midwest inside of this? Deploy, be supported well. You can have a great solution, but when the support experience, when something goes bump in the night, is not acceptable, then that can become a challenge. And we know that when you choose to involve a partner in a project or have a project be deployed in your business, you as an internal IT resource or leader are kind of putting your stamp of approval on it. So you want to know that what you're going to your leadership and saying we need to make this investment in is well vetted, well understood, and is going to be ultimately a successful project for your organization. So what did the ESC meet on in the last 6 months that we thought required some sort of change to our line card in order to be able to address it? And the thing that our group saw was reading through the Verizon data breach report in 2020 that came out. We saw this trend for increase in breaches and the continued attack. We're seeing attackers not hack in, but log in, right? They are getting user credentials, they're into environments, and it is a multi-billion-dollar and extremely lucrative business that these organized crime syndicates are in. They're building networks of small businesses that they outsource hacking into organizations with. They hand it off to another company that then is buying ransomware software from a ransomware software manufacturer, who then provides backend support and chat support for this other threat actor. So we're seeing this whole new network of not the sophisticated threat actors are building businesses of producing ransomware software and then marketing and selling that to other organized crime organizations that are even smaller. And so this makes them even harder to identify, harder to track. We can track the main threat actors producing majority of the ransomware, but they are now using these affiliate programs, and those threat actors are small, they're nimble, they show up one day, they disappear the next, and that is a big part of why we continue to see a drastic increase. The other thing we saw in the mid-market particular was, in response to this, a lot of you went to your leadership and said, we need more tools. And that was true. We do need more tools, more modern tools to respond to current day cybersecurity threats. But now we have a problem. We put in tools that are generating alerts, and 47% of organizations are even able to address most or all of the security alerts that they receive in a day. So we're seeing now the people side, the operational challenge side of the cybersecurity battle. And the number that continues to scare and worry us and our clients is this average of 270 to 315 days is the average time that the bad actor is in an environment before they get too noisy, finally put up a ransomware bulletin and lock you out of your systems. They're spending a lot of time in the research phase, a lot of time in the land and expand phase once they get into your network, building themselves back doors, establishing firm control, getting wide within the environment, all sorts of bad things. And it's this entire path. It's not a question of if your organization will be the subject of an attack, it's when, and it's how quickly. What is your mean time to detection is what we start to talk about. And it's this way too long time period that we're afraid of. The other thing we're seeing is the substantial rise in cyber risk insurance policies. So cyber insurance policies are going up 30 to 50%. Cyber insurance companies are getting out of that business, and they're also requiring more of you. Your next renewal, it won't be enough to do Windows patches and have antivirus. They're going to come with MFA requirements, maybe even MDR requirements, compliance requirements that you haven't seen before in order to even get a policy and get protection, because that insurance industry has paid out multiple $100,000, seven-figure, eight-figure ransoms. And that's driving the cost of this insurance industry. These insurance companies that thought they understood tornadoes, which a tornado is finite, like they know what area they hit, they know what bad things will happen to it. Cybersecurity can happen anywhere, can happen in big bursts, and is unpredictable. The insurance industry doesn't really like unpredictability in their rate tables, and so they're going to bear that down onto your organization. And these are the things that you should prepare your business leadership with, that these insurance renewals will be substantial and there will be new requirements. On the flip side, you can flip that on its head. You can become a market leader in protecting your client's data. You can be a market leader in being able to answer yes to all of those cyber insurance questions, possibly reduce the cost of that cyber renewal by even 30%. You can counteract that rate increase by making investments that ultimately help you sleep better at night. So there's lots of different ways that we can help you position and get these projects ultimately moved forward. The other thing we saw during the pandemic was more and more people continue on that digital transformation journey towards the cloud. You know, as much as they could get to cloud, they made that move. Most of you have already made that move for your productivity software in Office 365, which is great. You're starting to look at your file servers and your file data and start to move that out into the cloud because that's more accessible to your employees that now be working from anywhere. And those are all great decisions and great moves, but it also added new areas of risk that we need to come back around and say, how are we putting security walls around this new productivity that we have enabled? So 92% of businesses have identified that they have a cloud security gap from their security standpoint. And the other gift we have to the pandemic is the Great Resignation and the continued struggle to find top and retain top talent. You know, it just came back from a conference where hiring technical talent was the subject of a 1 in 3 sessions, I think, at this event. And it's because it is an industry-wide, a nationwide, worldwide challenge that we're facing. And a big portion of that is for the IT industry is people, the pandemic had people reevaluating their work-life balance in a fundamentally new way. People chose to, as they spent more time with their kids, they remembered that they liked those creatures and they want to spend more time with them potentially. And quality of life has maybe moved up the importance scale. And going after the biggest dollar and the best salary and working 1,000 hours in IT is maybe not as important as it once was. And what that means is we have less talent available and in the pool. So statistically, 41% of businesses say their cyber resilience is not improving because they're losing skilled staff. Unemployment is extremely low. Unemployment in IT is extremely, extremely low. Unemployment in IT security is a lot more of the words extremely low. And so all that means is that this is a time to partner. This is a value add that we can provide. Is we can use our size, scale, and leverage through our partner network and through our own team that you can rent access to fractional portions of our security operations center, our network operations center. And that's a value that a really strong partner should be able to bring. And that's part of what we're here definitely to talk about. But wanted to lay the groundwork of what are the data reports that we looked at? What are the industry trends? What is the litmus tests we're using as a part of the ESE? To know when we need to make a move and what is the right thing to go solve some of those cybersecurity gaps that we continue to be able to see. So the way that we feel like all people need to address the cybersecurity gap is to have a layered approach to security. Again, it's not if, it's a when. And how we combat that is to make sure that we have put lots of layers in place to catch as many of the bad guys moving within the network as possible. And it starts with training. The best thing that you can do is not technology at all, although you may choose to use an automated platform to do it, but train and teach your employees. Hopefully you took us up on our offer to print and send to you some fantastic posters that we had made up for Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Education is the best thing that you can do. And one of the things you can do is automated efficient testing and training in a security awareness platform like our partnership through Mimecast or KnowBe4. And then making sure you have MFA everywhere. And you will absolutely see this in your next insurance renewal. MFA must be on all things, not just the things where it's easy to do it in the cloud, but everywhere in your environment. It needs to have multi-factor authentication enabled on every system. There's no optionals anymore to MFA. We can help you with that. It used to be the first layer was antivirus, and for a while now we have been on this bandwagon of you need to move to a detect and respond tool. So antivirus just looks for known bad files. A detect and respond agent, something like SentinelOne, Cylance, CrowdStrike, etc., those tools are looking for IOCs or indications of compromise. And so we built a partnership with SentinelOne, which is one of the most deep products out there. But more importantly, it's SentinelOne backed by a security operations center and team that is really skilled in at-scale deployment of the nuances of SentinelOne. SentinelOne is one of those great and deep solutions that if you try to go buy it on your own and try to deploy it on your own, you won't get the impact because it needs trained eyes and it needs the policies and procedures behind it in order for it to really have the power that it's capable of, which is fantastic. We continue to not, and we knock on all forms of wood, ever have a client have a major breach event on a device protected by our SOC and SentinelOne agent. That said, that's just one agent on one device, and we saw a gap. We saw the increasing pressure from the bad guys, and this 30% of the network layer that can't possibly be seen by any agent because it's in the network. It's in the switching, it's in the firewalls, and they are on some device that SentinelOne or another agent can't live on. That third gap we were not comfortable with. A third of the network we can't be blind to it. And that's where we decided to make another partnership in a SIEM SOC solution. So a SIEM, again, is security information and event management software. Every device in your organization, every switch, every firewall, every temperature sensor, computer, every laptop, every server, every host, every DRAC card, every ILO card, all has a log file. It's just a text-based file that says, what did I do? What did I do? What did I do? What did I just do now? What am I doing next? From that computer, and it's in very boring computer language. We needed a tool to gather all that up, and this became popular. Alien Vault and Splunk became popular in the mid-market over the last 10 to 15 years. And now IT departments have done what we have seen. They've done one of two things. Those IT departments continue to struggle to deploy expensive and hard to manage SIEM tools on their own. They're logging massive amounts of data to storage on site that they're having to buy and manage themselves, only to produce a dashboard that has too many alerts on it and they don't have enough staff. So they check the box in their insurance that they have a SIEM deployed. They don't check the box because it's not asked of them today, but will be tomorrow, that you have actionable insights into only the critical non-false positive alerts being told to you from that SIEM. So that's where we see the gap. We knew that there was a tool gap. We knew the cloud could help with this from a storage perspective, but ultimately it comes down to the next acronym, the SOC, the Security Operations Center, the hundreds of people it takes to really manage a 24/7 security center at scale and to be able to really be your full-fledged partner in managing your security. We're here to talk about what solution we've picked and gone to market with here in just a minute. And we need to be able to ultimately, beyond response, get to recovery. You don't need to pay a ransom on data that you already own and data that you already have and can get easily from your backup. So it's mission critical that you have an air-gapped copy of all of your backup data and have a proven method to get from that air-gapped copy back into production and bring your business back. Because all the ransom in the world, all the tools in the world, Sally Sue, unfortunately, can still likely just put her email and password into a web form that she's been phished to fill out. And people just log into the VPN and log into your machines. So it's going to take a SIEM to see that activity, that Sally is normally in the office and now she's in Paraguay. But beyond that, you need to make sure that even when that bad day happens, you've got a strong disaster recovery and business continuity plan to be able to help out.
So we find these opportunities, these areas of concerns that we feel that our clients are dealing with or should be thinking about. We have our strategy and our philosophy about how we feel that these solutions should be deployed. And then we have to figure out what the right solution is. This is one example of, it's called the Cyberscape, one example of hundreds of organizations that make thousands of security products that if you went out on your own to try to find the right solution to the problem, you'd have to sift through all of this. Paul's team within the Emerging Solutions Group takes the time and effort to not understand all of these, but look at the resources out there that identify the best in class, the ones that will fit our model, help our clients have enough history and deployment to know that they work and are good solutions in the marketplace. Obviously, we vet them to make sure that they're the right partner for us and for our clients and have a good support model. And then we can bring those things to you so that you can focus on the big initiatives that you have in front of you, and we can focus on helping to support and deliver the right solution to fill your needs, and specifically today to fill the cybersecurity challenges that everyone is faced with. So we're here today to announce a new partnership, a new solution that solves the evolving challenge of cybersecurity. And Paul's going to walk us through all of that.
Yeah, excited to announce the first one. We've got 2 security announcements that we're making today from 2 different vendors, and then an update on Microsoft's new cloud offering, Windows 65 and Azure Virtual Desktop. So, but we're going to start at the top with, I think, the one we're most excited about and we know will have the biggest impact, and is our new partnership with Arctic Wolf. So welcome to the pack, and we would love to welcome you to their pack. They're very big on howling, but beyond the howling, there is real meat behind their approach to managing a SOC. This is an organization that less than 10 years ago was 4 people borrowing Wi-Fi in a coffee shop, and they now boast over 1,200 employees across multiple continents, and their headquarters is in Eden Prairie, Minnesota, not too far from our headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin. So Jeff and I had the opportunity to go there, meet with them, really think through this partnership and evaluate them against some of the big competition. As everyone claims to have a security operations center, they actually have a security operations center, and one at a large enough scale to handle the rapid growth that they're experiencing and the industry is experiencing overall. So when we talk about cybersecurity, the journey that you have likely been on with your organization is just basic security, right? Getting complex passwords in place with rotations, managing Active Directory, getting basic patch management of Windows and maybe third-party applications, and the first level of backup. That was basic security, and that was good enough. To Jeff's comment earlier, we just see the landscape changing. What was good enough 3 years ago isn't good enough now. This, I think we can all recognize, isn't good enough anymore. This was maybe only good enough 15 to 20 years ago. So then we moved to a kind of a perimeter level of security. We established better firewalls that maybe had some minor IDS, IPS going on in them. And then we added spam and web filters in order to block some of the bad emails coming in and do some basic DNS filtering and things like that. Then we started to move to defense in depth, right? We moved from endpoint AV security, maybe some DLP or SSL inspection, some anti-denial of service, or again, maybe a cloud access broker or a packet inspection system added to that firewall. Now it's time to take that next step to what is called in the industry MDR solutions, or managed detect and response. So this is that log aggregation. So we're going to take all that log data in through a sensor, package it up, encrypt it, and send it out to a cloud service, because we do not want to store the terabytes of data of log files that your network would produce on any on-premise equipment. Doesn't make sense to manage and maintain that. We continue to meet clients today that have second SANs, second storage area fabrics in their environment just for their Splunk data. That doesn't seem to make sense in the modern era. And then add that whole human piece to it. You need to have eyes on screens, and you need to have a threat intelligence network. And there's lots of threat feeds that are available, and maybe you watch some of those threat feeds, but you have to have the feet on the ground, ear to the ground threat intelligence, and ultimately humans available to respond to it. But you also need to have the tools. I think Arctic Wolf spends around $30 to $40 million a year in research and development, and a large portion of that just on maintaining the integrations and keeping up the APIs of all of the modern technologies that are out there, and their own technology to cull through all of those logs, using AI and machine learning to pull out what is really anomalous behavior and put that in front of humans. And then obviously have that incident response team, that red team ready and available, whether it's at 2 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon, to say this is a bad actor acting within the environment. Ultimately, we're getting towards that, bringing you that in-house or or outsourced, because you're getting it through us, a security operations center that is always looking to continually improve your security posture, help you with policy updates, and ultimately speed up remediation. And we can be this whole team with you, with the help of our friends at Arctic Wolf. So again, we see kind of most folks have moved to this like defense in depth model. They've got a number of tools. I kind of it too. If you built a house today, You would put locks and maybe smart locks and dumb locks in some of your doors. But when you go to bed at night, how do you know that every door is locked? How do you know somebody hasn't, while you were gone, broken the lock and plans on coming back later? You need a system. You need this manage, detect, and respond concept in order to make sure that all of this is still going on. Where most companies need to be to meet and bring down the 315 days to 315 seconds of mean time to respond is going to need that security operations center. And it's just hard to make that posture change. So that's the gap we're trying to solve for. That's the distance that we need to help our clients fill in. And that's where we can operate with Arctic Wolf SOC partnered through Levity to make that happen for you. Cybersecurity should reduce cyber risk. 80% of security leaders believe their organization is falling short of addressing their cyber risk in 2020. Cybersecurity has an effectiveness problem. It's not so much a tool set problem as it is an effectiveness. We have lots of tools, but they're not made effective because they're lacking that overarching system. Why don't you think leaders are feeling that confident? Well, it's because 59% of organizations were breached in a year. And it's started in the time it takes to patch critical vulnerabilities when there's more critical vulnerabilities has gone up by 40 more days. So the bad guys have the resources to attack faster. We're lacking the resources to respond, and the number of vulnerabilities are expanding. Just in the last 7 days, another major Microsoft vulnerability seen, and now Intel has announced that they have a major vulnerability that impacts an entire group of processors. If you have physical control of the device, can break the encryption key, get all the passwords, and break into any device that's running any of these 3 Intel processors that are in very common IoT devices and computers that are probably in your environment today. So now, how long will it take us to push a patch at the BIOS and firmware level to every device that has one of these 3, any one of these 3 Intel chips inside of them? Do you have the team to be able to respond to that? Can we really go touch in a remote world this many devices with a BIOS update? So the likelihood of incidents is up, the time it's taking us to respond is up, and the number of incidents are substantially up every single year. On top of that, the impact of an incident, that mean time to detection between 200 and 300 days, and the average cost of a breach for a large organization is in that over $8 million range. So again, we're continuing to see that likelihood is high and the impact is high, which is a real problem for our cyber risk. So what do we need to be able to solve this? We need broad visibility. We need 24/7 coverage. You need access to expertise at any time when it occurs, and you need that strategic guidance, that strategy piece we talked about at the top, and a continuous loop of improvement. What new tools are in your environment? Do you have Windows 11 now? Do you have Apple devices now? Do you have a new firewall? How are we helping you stay on top of it and constantly improving your cybersecurity posture? We need to get to solving those problems, the impact and likelihood. We need to get dwell time to under 30 minutes. Again, that industry average around 206, in the 300s. We need to get it to 30 minutes or less. That's what happens. Arctic Wolf does it. We get it in under 30 minutes every single time. 70% of customers had some sort of PII exposure because 5.5% have had plain text passwords exposed online. 35% of threats were detected after 8 p.m. and before 8 a.m. So a third of attacks happen in those off hours. We reduced the time to get unpatched vulnerabilities down by 35%. 43% of customers have advanced threat activity being missed by tools that are caught ultimately by Arctic Wolf. 18% of customers have phishing activity that was missed by email security, but the behaviors that occurred after the email are then caught. It's that layered approach. Even with the best tools, there are gaps, and we need something to fill in on all of those gaps. So why did we pick Arctic Wolf? Because we saw that time to value. We can leverage existing investments. We don't need to replace any of your firewalls and your switches. We don't even need to replace your current EDR product or your current email security product. It will integrate with all of those. We need to reduce the noise and drive more efficiency. You need guidance. You need that expertise. You're going to get a concierge from us and from Arctic Wolf that are always working on your account. And what's unique about Arctic Wolf is you can outsource that first level of incident response to Arctic Wolf and Levity, or Arctic Wolf and a Levity can get the first level of incident notification, and a Levity and you, the in-house team, can get it at the same time, so that you have support. There's different layers of co-managed technology management when it comes to cybersecurity that we can work with you on. Or if you have a large team and you don't want us to be involved, you just need someone to help you understand, scope, and deploy Arctic Wolf, we can help you with that and allow you to go on your merry way. We think we add a ton of value to being on those alerts and helping you with incident response if that bad day happens. But we're here to help and work with you in whichever way works with your team the best. We need to get you more resilience, proactive risk management, continuous posture assessment through their managed detect and respond and their managed risk solutions. We have an example of a security win that we wanted to just walk through, the change from 200 days to matters of minutes. So at 2:07 a.m., an O365 authentication that was deemed valid from a compromised password that they got through a phishing attempt. But we can see the login was coming from Nigeria. At 2:08, the Arctic Wolf SOC looks at that odd authentication request. In a minute, the MSP partner, us, is called and informed the compromised account. We're able to go in because we are tasked with doing first level incident response and reset that user's credentials, kicks out all logged in sessions, resets MFA. And this event, which could have led to a deep breach where somebody was in the environment, reading email, setting up email forwards, phishing additional people. Instead of that story, we have in 10 minutes, we have a security win. This is just one example of the types of response times you can expect inside of an Arctic Wolf platform. Arctic Wolf is really a platform. They have the managed detect and respond, which is agents that go on your device. It attaches to all your existing security products, looks at all those logs, and provides you that immediate instant level response from their SOC 24/7. If you're in a compliance industry and you need to validate that all of those things, all the patches and everything that is being done is working and validated, and tie that out to a specific security framework like NIST, HIPAA, SOC, FISMA, CMMC, they have a managed risk product that can do constant internal and external vulnerability scans and compare that against what is going on in the MDR solution to validate that everything is being checked. And then once a quarter, we provide you with that audit support. So as you're going through audits, you get a team to help you, be at the table with you to respond to those audit requests on an ongoing basis. All of that's done in the cloud with ongoing cloud monitoring of Office 365, Salesforce, Box, OneDrive, G Suite. We support a number of the major vendors and can manage and monitor all of those cloud offerings as well. And lastly, they have a tie-in to our security awareness program or their security awareness program to add the full loop and the full circle of the Arctic Wolf platform. So again, you can leverage your existing technology. We're going to centralize that all. We don't charge you by the terabyte of storage. It is a flat per user, per server, per site, per month rate. So it doesn't matter how many terabytes of data your log files will send. We're never going to come back to you and say, you went over, you had more instance, you had more log data than we expected. Unlike any other vendor, we're going to be able to give you a confident flat-based pricing that's going to cover the entire security operations framework. Again, that managed detect and respond solution allows you to leverage your existing technology stack, provide you 4x7 coverage, and help you recover. Find the root cause. Whenever there's a security event and we don't have the tool set, we get your risk insurance company hiring a forensic agency. They come to us and to you and say, all right, where are all of your logs so that we can prove when they entered your network and what data they touched so that we don't have to notify everybody your organization works with. And when you answer that question with, we don't log, or we don't have those logs, or those logs have rotated because we don't have enough storage for them, or we don't have the people or manpower to review those logs, it's a bad day. That's a tough answer because you can't confidently tell your business where the attack started and where it ended. And likely you're going to have to then notify every customer, every vendor, every AP account, every payable account that is now at risk. We're seeing customers just this week, we heard another story of they got into the payroll system. Now they're having to pay for credit monitoring for all of their employees. They're having to watch all their social security numbers. It's just not good. Not good for your organization, not good for your organization's reputation. And unfortunately, it's the IT department that they turn to and go, why didn't we have a solution for this? How do we not know the answer about this? And we all say, well, because I've been asking for IT security budget for years. Get that. But we've got to move forward and be proactive in saying to the business that we have this solution. So we like to call this the Levity security fabric. We think we've put together a managed solution when it comes to security that if you follow our guidance and our partnerships, we can bring you a fully secured environment in a box. And that starts with those great locks, those great intelligent locks in all the doors of your house in Sentinel-1, Office 365, managed for internet through us, our automated patching and whitelisting service through our partners at ConnectWise Continuum, Mimecast, the leader in email security and email security gateways. All of that then needs to be monitored and managed by tool sets and people that are able to make sure that all those pieces and doors are all working correctly. And that's what we call the Levity Security Fabric. And then you have our team, our field engineers, our service desk, our virtual CIOs and solution architects, and ultimately that Esc Committee looking out and making sure this fabric is always the best and always the most up to date. The second major partnership announcement we wanted to talk about was our continued expanded partnership with Mimecast. I've been working with Mimecast for over 10 years. I think they are the leading provider of email security without question. And their laser focus on email and perimeter security allows them to invest dollars in new technologies in that space. And they've announced a new one in CyberGraph. So even if you're an existing Mimecast customer today, you're going to want to be aware of this next section and the launch of their CyberGraph solution. Preventing sophisticated phishing attacks continues to be a significant challenge for our industry. Even in good emails from the bad guys are embedding hidden pixels that are tracking your team, what they open, when they open it, when they respond. They're putting in silent WAV files. They're using special web fonts, all special ways to even trick the most advanced threat protection systems when it comes to email. They're getting more sophisticated in their phishing attacks. They're mimicking people in your environment. They're getting better at typing in English. They're using urgency and timing in order to get your team to click on or take action on wires that shouldn't go and things of that nature. If you don't use CyberGraph, you're probably just putting blanket Office 365 banners just saying, this is an external email, this is an external email, this is an external email. And because every external email is tagged and look the exact same way, the bad guys are able to replicate that. And your end users have become completely desensitized to these very static banners. So seeing all of that, Mimecast has come out with a better response. And that is CyberGraph. 3 advanced technologies to break the cyber kill chain. First is it removes all embedded trackers and makes them useless and doesn't report your data, which is going to mean you're going to get less sales calls in addition to less marketing emails and less bad guys using that as a way to map out your organization. Their AI is going to detect targeted email threats and going to provide a contextual and dynamic warning message in an image that actually engages users, because they'll only see it about on 13% of emails, and it's not going to be a generic message. It's going to be helpful. So let's dive into those really quickly. First, it prevents trackers from communicating any sort of useful intelligence. It's going to mask your location, and it's going to block to understanding the engagement level. Did you open the email, etc. It's going to block in potential intel gathering for those potential vulnerabilities, using those silent WAV files to then find out if your machine has a known CVE on it, which is what the bad guys are doing today. We're going to provide greater visibility into who is being targeted and where those targets are coming from. So this is all the recon attempts that are blocked in an easy to use dashboard that you can manage or we can co-manage together. The CyberGraph AI and machine learning that's been integrated into the MimOS platform uses historical data to identify anomalies that could be indications of malicious email. And that's a learning-based machine learning system that makes unique real-time decisions on a unique user behavioral data point basis. And lastly, the most exciting thing about this is contextual images that don't just say this is from an external user, they provide specific guidance to your end users. And rather it be every single inbound email from an external source, it only comes up when it is actually needed, meaning your users will read it more often. And because it's an image and you're in the MimOS platform, as this threat intelligence about this email gets updated, Mimecast will reach back into your Office 365 and update this with the latest information. Nobody else in the industry is doing that. Inky, Proofpoint, no one else can do it. Office 365 can't do it. They give you static threat information that's in text at the top of an email. And when you go back to that email, it's still the same information that they had 6 months ago. Mimecast is always updating this threat intelligence for you. And you can see it gives actionable information. This domain was created recently. This is the first email to your company from this domain or this person. When you see that banner, but the person's claiming to be the CEO asking you to buy Google Play gift cards, even your end users will be smart enough to go, something isn't right here. and this will substantially increase your security posture. If you're not already on Mimecast, then I suggest you talk to our team about getting to this as an email security platform. If you are on Mimecast and think that these features will enhance your security like I do, reach out to your account representative. It's a small add-on that can be set up and installed in a very short time period into your existing email security gateway. This reporting also includes crowdsourced information and intelligence. And so as your team responds to what this is, it will update the cyber graphic across all customers, and you'll benefit from that as well. Those warnings then update, like I talked about. It's going from orange to red. This sender was marked as dangerous. Do not click on any of these links, powered by your friends at Mimecast and here at Levity. For one example of a client, our email security added the same static warnings to all emails. Users became numb to them. The Mimecast banners convey engaging and contextual information about the threat that are automatically updated as part of artificial intelligence that learns more about it, right from a client that says that this works in real life. All of this is a part of, and if we just use these vendors that say they can integrate with Office 365, know that Microsoft can throttle those connections to those vendors. Webhooks cannot send all emails, and emails cannot be clawed back from non-Outlook clients. Microsoft has limited control, which is why we've always believed that you need to have Mimecast in between the internet and Office 365. Mimecast maintains that API connection to Microsoft, but your security is managed by the Mimecast security gateway. So if anyone's ever asked you why not to just use Office 365 email security, the answer is it just isn't enough. And there are absolute hard limitations that Microsoft has in securing itself versus using a trusted third party like Mimecast. Last, we just want to talk about Azure Virtual Desktops. Azure Virtual Desktops and Windows 365 was announced recently by Microsoft, and they really are the evolution of the modern workplace. We saw in the pandemic a 3x growth in virtual desktop usage. The number of people working remotely jumped from 7 to 66%, and people are spending 55% more minutes in Windows 10 compared to year over year. And now with Windows 11 on the horizon, we know people will continue to be spending more time in front of their computer. Organizations need a simpler path to adjusting to this new work from home and work hybrid. We need to control costs. We need to stay ahead of cybercrime and streamline technologies, regardless of their users or locations. So Windows Virtual Desktops or Azure Virtual Desktops AVDs running Windows 10 or now Windows 11 multi-session is a fundamental change in technology. This isn't terminal services. This isn't remote desktop. This isn't Citrix. This isn't 15 and 20-year-old technology. AVDs running Windows 10 or Windows 11 multi-session. Windows 10 and Windows 11 multi-session is a less than year-and-a-half-old technology that gives you multi-session access to secure copies of multiple people accessing the same Windows 10 or Windows 11 instance on the Microsoft cloud. This means that Microsoft Teams can work on the Microsoft cloud. This presentation I'm sharing from you today is running on an Azure Virtual Desktop. You can't tell the difference because it is Microsoft Teams, and Teams and Zoom actually work inside of this virtual desktop session. So if you're struggling with aren't remote desktop users or VPN users to be able to access things efficiently back at the office, or if you're having your team join Teams over RDS where they just turn their cameras off because they know it'll never work, stop doing that. Azure Virtual Desktops is the foundational technology, the fundamental shift that makes remote work possible. There's broad availability of the WVD service across all of the Azure infrastructure. There's really compelling price points that we can deliver this for you. We can help build an AVD environment for you to manage after the fact, or we can do a managed AVD instance for you. It works on a wide range of devices, thin clients, mobile devices. I'm speaking to you today from an Apple iPad Pro running Microsoft Teams and AVD. And that Apple iPad Pro has USB-C, docking stations, monitor support, external monitor support, keyboards, mice, everything that you would expect to work. I'm treating it just like a thin client, but I can also quickly fold it up and take it to meetings. So again, you can use any device, Linux, Windows, Mac, a host of devices that gives a local-like Windows experience. The login process is secure. It doesn't require a VPN, and Microsoft manages the entire brokerage from you to your virtual desktop. You don't need to run any virtual machines, buy any licensing. Microsoft Azure's GUI manages all of that for you. They unfortunately called the app Remote Desktop, but it looks like this red icon, very different than the Remote Desktop you're using on your terminal services today. And they're constantly evolving and updating this tool every single month. Everybody's user profile is entirely managed on the cloud using their acquisition from FS Logics. Means that you get fast load times as you log in. Your profile will follow you regardless of what virtual machine you're ultimately landing on in Microsoft's cloud. And you can do that all on their file as a service Azure Files offering. You don't need to run a file server to manage profiles anymore. All of that can be done natively in the cloud. And you can see here the Teams enhancements. There's an AVD optimized version of Zoom and Microsoft Teams that is purpose built to run and redirect video. So the video process is very smooth and acts just like a video process on a local machine. But instead of buying $2,000 to $3,000 laptops for your entire team, you can do what I work on every day, which is a tablet for my mobile day-to-day, and then a thin client mounted to the back of my monitors that's ready for me with all my monitors all day long. I don't have to wait for a docking station to connect and all my monitors to boot up. And when I'm done at the end of the day, I log out on my desktop and I take my tablet home with me, where I know confidently I can log in from home at night and get the same Windows desktop, not a second one, not where my desktop files are stored in a third place and I got to remember where it is. I live on an AVD every single day and I have for months, and it's a fantastic user experience. All of this managed with Microsoft Azure AD, so you don't need to run domain controllers anymore. You don't have VPNs to attack. You don't have RDS broker servers for the bad guys to attack. Admins can have role-based access control, and every user has their own isolated session in both one-to-one VM to individual single sessions or multi-session environments. The end user experience can get a single app streamed to them or an entire desktop. And again, you can have a single host or have multiple hosts, and we can tell those hosts to drain down at night, saving you money on Azure services. Wouldn't it be nice if you shut down your servers at night and you didn't have to pay your IT company who you bought them all from because you only use them half of the time? Sorry, you can't do that with us. If we sold you a server, you got to pay for it. But the way Azure works is you can shut things off at night and recoup those savings. Again, if you haven't looked at Azure in the cloud as an opportunity for your business in a while, the price competition has really gotten interesting on this technology. All of this is built on the secure, standard, globalized cloud. When you get asked to do your audit reports, when you get asked for your HIPAA, your SOC report, your SSAE 16, if all of your environment lives in Microsoft Azure, you can just download Microsoft's compliance reports, hand them over, check the box, and move on to the rest of your day. Nothing is easier than saying, I just use Microsoft for all of my offerings as a way to not have to meet compliance requirements because Microsoft is doing it all for you. And again, all of this using their Office 365 and M365 licenses means you don't have to buy server CALs, user CALs, core-based licenses, all of those sorts of things. And it will ultimately save your business 60% of the time to manage and maintain your IT infrastructure, according to Microsoft. We see it more being around 30%. It's still a phenomenal savings because the answer can be just reboot, because when you reboot, you get a new desktop and it will bring in your user profile for your users automatically. So with all that, hopefully these three big technology announcements have you interested maybe in something new inside your business, all from the work that our ESC has done. These are all solutions that we have vetted. And Jeff, I think you have an announcement about our commitment to each of these solutions that you wanted to share before we close.
Yeah, these are, I think, big initiatives for our customers to consider, and they were big initiatives for us as an organization to consider as well. So, as many Levity is part of the Gordon Flesch Company. The Gordon Flesch Companies operates in 6 states, about 700 employees, and we are actively rolling out both my solution with CyberGraph as well as our Wolf across our organization. And so we believe that these are the right steps for every organization to be taking, and are doing that ourselves. Paul has been working off the Windows Virtual Desktop platform. I have as well, and we are definitely evaluating that as something on a forward basis. So we're excited about that. We think that you should be as well. And we want to give you an opportunity to let us know that you would like to learn more about these solutions. So if you want to hover your phone over this QR code with the camera app activated, it will pop open a browser, and that browser is going to ask you, or it's going to be a quick little form to ask you these 4 questions: your name, your organization, your email address, and whether or not you would like us to reach out to you soon to talk about one of these solutions. If you don't right now, that's fine. You can tell us that. If you would just rather wait until we bring it up at the next time that we interact with you, rest assured that we will be. But this is an opportunity for you to maybe move up in front of the line and have that discussion sooner than later. So I want to thank you for number one, your partnership, for allowing us to play a role and have a part in your 4S strategy. We may be helping you with strategy, or we may be helping you with support, and we appreciate the opportunity to do that. If we can help further secure your organization and move you forward in your journey to manage risk and to limit risk, please fill out this form and let us know what we can help with and how soon we can get in touch to talk through this. So, Paul, thanks for all the great information. Thanks for the work that your team does to deliver these great solutions to our clients. Thank you for attending, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.